Of course, you know I'm going to talk about more Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro cringe, but is it really Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro's fault this time? We'll get to that in a minute, but before we do, I just want to remind you folks that this is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Hellebarde makes the adventures that they'd like to play, whether it's for 5th edition, for Castles and Crusades, or OSR. Old School is in play at the table, and you can find them on their website, hellebardegames.com, or on Drive-Thru RPG, and they are currently having a sale on all of their in-print 5th edition adventures. Whether it's a dismal swamp full of vicious lizard men, or a caravan trail dotted with adventure locales, their in-print 5e products are available for 50% off at checkout on their website, hellebardegames.com, when you use the discount code 5EOOP. Check them out, hellebardegames.com. So this comes to us. Several people have reached out to me and said, Bill, what are you going to say about the Jeff Easley signature situation? And to be honest, guys, to be completely upfront, I kind of sat on it because I didn't have all the facts in front of me, and I wanted to have all the facts in front of me. Specifically, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's take a look at this. So, the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie poster was done by Jeff Easley, of course, who's done some of the most memorable art in the history of Dungeons & Dragons, from 1st edition AD&D all the way up through the years. Jeff is an iconic D&D artist, and so, of course, he was asked to do the movie poster for Honor Among Thieves, but it doesn't stop there, because we have this from Geek Native, and I want to caution you here when we bring this up. This says, Hasbro removes artist's signature from D&D movie poster. Now let's talk about this a little bit. No, I'm not saying, well, it's okay given the context. But let's dive into the article here. Hasbro removes artist signature from D&D movie poster. This is by Egg Embry, and of course, I'll have a link to this article down below. Famous fantasy and Dungeons & Dragons artist Jeff Easley painted the promotional mini poster given out at early screenings of the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie. And that is a lovely piece of artwork. We dig on that. I think that's very, very cool artwork. Jeff did some of the most memorable pieces in S4, Lost Caverns of Sojkanth. I still love his Sleeping Drelsna portrait, but we're talking about the Honor Among Thieves promo here. And Jeff comments, finally scored a copy of the giveaway print. They took my signature off the painting. That's right. Over a month after the giveaway was made available to fans, the artist obtained a copy of the mini poster. He noted that Hasbro erased his signature from the print. And this is where I think clarity is important, because remember, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro licensed Dungeons & Dragons to Paramount to make a movie, and then provided them with promotional images. Paramount has a marketing department. It could very easily not have been Hasbro/Wizards of the Coast. Paramount could have taken one look at it and said, that's awesome, Photoshop that out, to their own marketing department. They could have said, that's awesome, sent it back to Hasbro/Wizards of the Coast and said, Photoshop that signature out. We don't know, but it was removed. But let's continue. On April 28th, Jeff wrote in the Fans of the Art of Jeff Easley Facebook group that he acquired a copy of the print that was first released on March 29th. He did not call out the delay in obtaining a copy of his work. Instead, the artist revealed that the printed version of his painting had been edited to remove his stylized signature. Jeff Easley's Honor Among Thieves poster, along with the D20 popcorn bucket from AMC Theater, are among the best souvenirs associated with the movie. Taking the artist's name off of the finished product robs him of the customary credit he deserves as the author of his work, which might be apropos for a movie that has thieves written into the title. Cropping an artist's signature out of an illustration can occur when the original image meets the layout artist. Every artist working on publishing knows that cropping, where the image is trimmed, can occur. In this instance, Easley's signature was not cropped off, but digitally removed. The residue of the erasure is still visible beneath where the E and Easley originally resided. Likely done by Hasbro or E1, the production company that filmed the D&D film, this change was an unexpected and arguably needless alteration to the original work, and I would agree. It's very obvious that it's been chopped out, and you can see there on the image, and again, I'll link to this. You guys can examine this closely yourselves. In this case, removing Jeff Easley's mark contrasts with the signature policy of some of Hasbro's subsidiaries. Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro's subsidiary that publishes Dungeons & Dragons as well as Magic, the card game, does not remove artists' signatures from the artwork that they source. In fact, Jeff Easley provided artwork for the 2021 Magic the Gathering core set, Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, as well as other card art over the years. His signature was left intact unless cropping was required. His artwork for the Den of the Bugbear dungeon module version Magic the Gathering cards clearly shows his signature. Magic the Gathering goes further in celebrating the artist by listing their name on the bottom of each card. It's notable that WotC's standard Magic the Gathering art policy clashes with Hasbro or E1's handling of this promotional poster. This incident may be attributed to a difference of policies within different arms of Hasbro's corporate empire. At other times, this erasure might have flown under the radar were it not for Hasbro's recent history of troubling public incidents like sending the Pinkertons to a fan's house, the OGL crisis, Bank of America's scrutiny over their Magic the Gathering prices, and other heavy-handed decisions. Needlessly erasing Jeff's signature is yet another incident to add to Hasbro's list of ill-advised decisions thus far in 2023. Now, this morning, I reached out to Tracy Lesh, who, of course, as you guys know, he's been on the show. We're a big fan of Tracy around here. Tracy is one of the original Dungeons & Dragons artists and has continued to produce art for all of his life for Marvel Comics, for independent publishers. Too many credits to name, really, here in just a short video. And I asked Tracy directly, full disclosure, Tracy and I are friends. I said, what do you think of this? Do you, as an artist, expect to have your signature removed? And he said, absolutely not. Crediting the artist is paramount, no pun intended. And Jeff's signature being digitally erased, not cropped out, is, in my opinion, definitely not crediting the artist, as Tracy said, is really necessary. Now, I'm not an artist, not a visual artist. I can't draw two straight lines. But as a writer, I have had things I've written published in information systems trade magazines. I've had digitally published white papers for information technology. And on the fun side of the house, I've published adventures through Mythmere Games, through their Knoxbell magazine. I've written tabletop gaming articles for the Space Gamer, Fantasy Gamer online zine. I have published modules through Frog God Games, and I've published modules through Hellabard Games. If any of my written material was ever published without my byline on it, I would be furious. That's my creation. This is Jeff's creation. I don't know where E1, Paramount, or Hasbro gets off trying to erase Jeff's contribution. From a graphical design standpoint, it was completely unnecessary. Now, I don't know who to ascribe blame to this, so I'm not going to say this is yet another Wizards of the Coast screw-up or yet another Hasbro screw-up. But somebody in the design chain should have said to Hasbro, hey, can we cover this up? Should we cover this up? Someone in the decision-making process should have stepped up and said, no, don't do that. But that was not undertaken. And in that, the blame lays evenly on Paramount, on E1, and on Hasbro. You don't do that. You don't deny a man credit for his work. Now, was Jeff paid for this? Almost certainly. I doubt very seriously that they said, well, what we pay you is incumbent on the number of copies that we hand out that have your signature on them. He. But that doesn't matter. Not to me, not as a fan. What matters is people seeing and knowing that this is the work of a gifted and skilled fantasy artist, not just some promotional thing. Not just some potentially AI-generated piece of semi-digital artwork. This was something created by Jeff Easley. And people should know that. People should absolutely, undeniably know that. But instead, again, Hasbro, Paramount, or E1, or all of them decided to try and erase that. And that's terrible. That's awful, and that's appalling. I wish it was as easy as pointing at Hasbro and saying, you guys screwed up again. Because in a way, they did, again, for not being involved in the process. The real embarrassment for them here, of course, is that just like every misstep, excepting the OGL debacle, they will remain completely silent. They won't come out and say, you know, this was an awful mistake. And we're sorry. We apologize to Jeff. We're going to offer prints, unaltered prints. That's not going to happen. They're going to remain completely silent, or they're going to issue some kind of boilerplate statement saying blah, 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 graphic designs out of our hands, yada, yada, yada. And E1 and Paramount are certainly not, almost certainly not, in the habit of apologizing to Dungeons and Dragons fans. So you can rest assured that's not going to happen. But if there's any further news or updates or changes with this, I'll let you guys know. Of course, I want to hear what you have to think down in the comments below. I think this is appalling. I'm disgusted by it. And I really wish this trio of companies involved had not done this. And I guess in conclusion, I'll say it was less work to just leave it as it was. You literally added steps in the process. You made it harder on yourself to do the wrong thing. You made it harder on yourselves to do the wrong thing, which ascribes, in my opinion, malice. You went out of your way to delete the man's signature when it would have been easier and cheaper to leave it alone. So that's all I've got to say about that. Again, guys, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications. And we'll see you later. Of course, there's a live stream coming this Tuesday evening tonight. We'll be playing some first edition AD&D, and we'll be talking about the Judges Guild Classic Dark Tower. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Be good to each other, and give credit where credit is due. Peace.